And that's one. That's all you get. The starting point this morning is details from inside the apartment of the man who's accused of shooting up that Aurora, Colorado movie theater. A law enforcement officer spoke exclusively with CNN after reviewing some of the footage that they took, black and white footage inside that apartment. And he tells Poppy Harlow, our reporter, that the mess of wires looked like, quote, spaghetti, and that it was rigged right, meaning that if police hadn't dismantled the explosives, the entire floor of the complex could have been consumed in flames before even a single fire truck could have arrived. He described it as something you would have seen in Iraq or Afghanistan, not here in the U.S. Meantime, the two public defenders representing the suspect are expected to seek a competency evaluation. After yesterday's hearing, they're trying to determine, of course, the mental state of the alleged shooter, who seemed completely out of it in that court appearance. Did you watch that?
Yes.
He sort of floated in and out. Sometimes it looked like he was dozing. Sometimes his eyes would bulge. Lisa Wayne is a criminal defense attorney, and she knows the public defenders who are now representing the suspect. She even trained them. Nice to see you, Lisa. Thanks for being with us. We certainly appreciate it. His appearance was odd. I know you watched what he looked like in court, and not just his hair, his demeanor. Would he have been medicated? I mean, is that policy? He looked to me like, because he was falling asleep at times, he looked like he was sedated, possibly. Would that have happened?
It could have happened. I mean, there are two possible scenarios: that this is an individual who has been medicated and therefore his prescribed medication, that they've continued using that at the jail. Or the other scenario is when he presented at the jail, he was completely psychotic, and in order to be able to deal with him at the jail, there's an assessment that's made by a doctor at the jail, and they can prescribe medication to him immediately.
Lisa,
so those two scenarios could be possible.
Lisa, isn't there a third scenario? This is Will Kane. Isn't it possible as well that it's an affected behavior? Isn't it possible simply that he's faking it? And what I guess the question would be for you is, would that help him down the line? Would he have a reason to act that way?
Well, you know, look, I mean, it's difficult to fake mental illness over a long period of time, and we're all speculating because we don't know his history and much about him. So, yes, it's possible, but we don't know whether or not that's actually what's happening. And frankly, I think most of us hope that there's something here, that he has a true, deep mental illness, because it doesn't make sense to us otherwise. And it's not unheard of when you have a client who has a mental illness. He was in a psychotic state, and a psychotic state can run a long duration. You can go in and out of psychosis. You can seem like you're in total control, have composure, seem calculated and cold, and still be in a psychotic state. And when you're in that state, sometimes it's like an adrenaline rush. Suddenly you just go limp. You're out of it. You're disconnected. And who knows? I mean, this is all speculation, but that would not be inconsistent with his appearance yesterday.
It's interesting to compare it to video that we now have from 2006, where you see him talking. He's at the at science camp. I want to play a little bit of that first before I ask you a question on the other side.
Hello, I'm James. I've been working with a temporal illusion. It's an illusion that allows you to change the past.
His goals are to become a researcher and to make scientific discoveries. It's a good start.
Gamers might feel like they have a superpower, and that might let them have more fun.
Interesting. So as a public defender, let's say hypothetically you were representing him, what would your first step be once you did the mental evaluation?
Well, you know, these are public defenders that are trained. They're capital lawyers. They're the best of the best, and their job is to save his life. So they are assessing not only his competency, but his history. Who is this guy? Where does he come from? So there is a process in these kind of cases that's called front-ending, doing all the work you can on that front end to really assess who this person is. Because at the end of the day, we know this is the guy everybody loves to hate. And this is the most difficult job for lawyers.
Right? I mean, it's all going to hinge on the mental capacity. Because, I mean, it seems to me like an open and shut case in terms of the tons of evidence, not only in his home, but where he was captured, and the zillions of witnesses who've been able to give a description that matches what he was wearing. So on the evidentiary front, it seems to me like done and done. So the only thing they're looking at here is mental state?
Well, I don't know if that's true. I mean, I get that that's the obvious to us on the outside. but cases are brought that it's proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So I don't know if there are other available defenses. I don't know if this guy is working and, has cohorts, if there are other co-conspirators. I don't know if they're looking at his computer because he's being directed by other people. I mean, we really don't know, and it's too early to rush to judgment. The obvious is, yes, this is a cold case and it's mental health. But I would suggest that we kind of, wait to see here, because we've been in a situation where we rush to judgment and ultimately it turns out to be something else.
Lisa,
it's tough.
Lisa, it seems as though, and from your professional perspective, it would be very helpful to know, it seems as though anecdotally there are a lot of cases of undiagnosed, mentally ill, young 20-year-old, 20-something men who act out in violent ways. Across the country, we've heard a number of stories in the last 5 years, 10 years. Is this something you're seeing in your profession?
We've seen it for a long time. The criminal justice system is made up of people who have a lot of mental health issues, and the cutbacks have made it more glaring, I guess, and we see it more often, and it's being untreated. And I think that there has been a tendency to turn away. I mean, we want to blame it on everything else. Look at gun control, look at the politics of things, but at the end of the day, we have a lot of young men and a lot of young people out there who have mental health problems. So, there are no easy answers here. But and it's going to be very complicated, but it breaks your heart and it's a tragedy.
Oh, Josh, it really is. Lisa Wayne is a former public defender and a criminal defense attorney. Nice to see you. Thanks for all the insight. We appreciate it.